channel. So this is a video that I never planned on making and never wanted to make, but here I am. So last Friday night, this is Sunday the 6th, I believe, a semi-truck 18-wheeler took too sharp of a turn and clipped my driver's side fender and took out part of my headlight assembly. So I'm basically just going to tell you what happened, because I wrote a post on my community tab, and I just kind of wanted to explain it, and it's kind of worth mentioning, you know, so much for a restoration project, right? So that was a Friday night. I had just gotten off of work around a couple hours ago. I fell asleep on the couch at around, I believe it was around 7 o'clock. And so what had happened was, we have a fruit packing plant just down the road, like half a mile down the road. And so a lot of semi trucks will go to pick up apples there, but the GPS will tell them wrong, and they'll tell them to go down our street. So about half a dozen times a year, we'll have a semi truck that tries to take too sharp of a turn. They can't. I'm usually up around that time of day, and so I'll go out and I'll ask if the driver needs help. I'll back up my truck, and they're very thankful for it, and they're on their way down to the packing plant. Well, since I was asleep, I didn't hear the big loud semi-truck engine. It's a pretty quiet neighborhood, so every time you can kind of hear it right away. So since I was asleep, I didn't hear it, and for whatever reason, the guy didn't stop. He didn't check, I guess, and all he had to do was just get out of the truck, put his brakes on, get out of the truck, and ask me to move my truck. I would have happily done it for him. Done it, like I said, several times a year. But he went for it and clipped my truck. So I have a little bit of footage that I'll show. I managed to get like 15 seconds of footage late at night. So I've had a long day at work, my first official day by myself working on my new job, and this is what I wake up to at night. Someone hit my truck. So after it happened, he was very apologetic, nice guy. I'm not going to say his name just for privacy's sake, but instead of him giving me his insurance, and instead of him wanting to, you know, whatever it takes, man, here's my insurance, I gotcha. He was having my mom look up parts on Amazon, asking how much it's going to be to replace it. So we're looking up like how much fenders cost and how much headlights cost. And it just dawns on me, like, no, it's not, this isn't going to be $200 to fix this job. I'm going to have to go to a body shop, have someone replace the entire fender, have someone replace this whole headlight assembly now. And it's not going to be, he was wanting to give me cash right away. He didn't want to use his insurance. We were looking up parts, and it just didn't seem right. He said, he was trying to, in his broken English, he was trying to say, I have a family, it's better for you that I just pay. I don't want to get in, he was basically not wanting to get in trouble with his company, but also just pay out of pocket. And he was asking me, like, how much is it going to be to fix? And I was trying to tell him, like, I don't know, dude. I just woke up. I didn't tell him this, but what I was thinking in the back of my mind was, I just woke up from a dead sleep, and now you want me to find out how much it costs to repair my truck? Like, get out of here, man. So he was saying, like, it's going to be $250 or something, and of course his dad's an auto body repairman. So he said, oh yeah, this isn't very bad damage. It's a very localized area, blah, blah, blah. So I just walked away. My mom continued to talk to him, and I just walked away, and I had another family member of mine call the police. Police came down, and they were they were able to be more stern with him. I didn't want to be the bad guy. I didn't want to yell at him. It was an accident, but he was just talking a million miles a second and didn't want to give me his insurance. He was kind of reluctant, and at one point he was talking to me. He put his foot on my tire, and he was trying to talk and say, oh, it's just no big deal, it's just this. And I just interrupted him and said, hey man, can you get your foot off my truck? And my mom had to kind of tone me down a little bit. That's about as mean as I get, I suppose. So that took place. Police came down, and they were able to be stern with him and said, no, we're filing an accident report, get your insurance, get your paperwork. And he did all that. What's so frustrating, guys, is I guess he's from Florida, and so he drives 2.5 days from here to Washington to pick up apples and go back. Well, they're constantly going. So he had a second driver with him, and none of this needed to happen because all that they had to do was have, hey, second driver, whatever your name is, get out of the truck and see if I'm going to make this turn. And he could have easily spotted for him, and none of this needed to happen. But they just decided to go for it without asking me for help to move my truck or having the other driver spot him, and it clipped my truck. So it's not as bad as it looks. It is dented, it is scratched. The headlight assembly, they're not very hard to replace, but like I said, none of this needed to happen whatsoever. So the police get my insurance, they get his insurance, and they're in the cab trying to do their paperwork on their computer in the police car. He comes up to me again and tries to tell me that I shouldn't use my insurance because my rate's going to go up and I'm going to have to pay a deductible and all this crap. And he's trying to push me into having to pay out of pocket. His son has even gotten in contact with me. He's called me like 3 or 4 times. Excuse me. And so he's just really not wanting to have the insurance pay for it. Turns out the police officer told me what they try to do is try to hide it or not report it because they get, I guess, a bad resume if they ever try to go to a different towing company, trucking company rather. And it's just bad for them because their rates will go up or they'll have to get a dock and pay, and it's just not good for them at all. So I feel for the guy. Like, I understand you wanting to pay and not wanting to get in trouble. I mean, you're just trying to make a living, dude. I get it. But I didn't want this whole situation to be, okay, I'll take your $250. Oh, it's actually going to cost $1,000 more, and I have to go ask him for more money. Some random dude across the country. What, I'm supposed to hunt him down and ask him for more money if the original $250 he gives me isn't enough? Like, I'm not going to go with that. Like, what's the whole reason of having insurance if you're not going to use it? So, long story short, I moved my truck back. Thankfully, it didn't hit the headlight, or excuse me, the bulb itself. Nothing electrical. The wire and harness behind the headlight wasn't damaged. A very localized area, but it still sucks. So I was able to move my truck back. He drove off, and that was that. So I filed a claim last night with Geico. They said their insurance is going to pay for everything. Usually when there's a wreck, like, your rates will technically go up because they don't know exactly whose fault. But since my truck wasn't moving, it was parked on the right side of the road, pointing the right direction, and I wasn't even in the vehicle, I'm at no fault whatsoever. And so, obviously, so his insurance is going to pay for all of it. I am going to have to pay a deductible of $250, but once this whole work is done, once I take it to their auto body shop that Geico recommended, since I made a claim with them, they're going to have that the guy's insurance pay me back my $250 deductible. So it'll end up being $0 out of pocket. But it was perfect before. Like, none of the I said it, this is the 3rd time saying it, nothing needed to happen here. None of this had to take place. My truck was already perfect before. Now I have to go to an auto body shop, make sure they do it right, and I don't want one of those Chinesium fender replacements, or I don't want to just slap on a thing of Bondo. Like, I want my truck back the way it was. I don't think that's too much to ask, especially since none of this had to take place. So you were supposed to be watching a video right now of the headache rack behind me and how I modified it to my truck here, but I'm having to make this video about dumb stuff like this. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. Just hit 1,500 subscribers on the channel. I wish I was celebrating under better circumstances, but I want to say thank you to everyone for supporting the channel and liking what I do here. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.